Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRN-FM, and I am joined by the wonderful Michael J. Russ. I want to say hello, Michael.
Hello.
I know you're enjoying an awesome day, but I want to hear what's been unfolding for you.
Folding, wow. Creativity, inspiration, following my plan of getting up every morning and talking from the moment my eyes wake up about what I love about life and what I love about me and what I love about everything. It's working. That I think I mentioned that last week, that I was going to do that every day, and how different I feel when I move my thoughts in that direction. You know, we all want to know what we got on our phones. I mean, you know, the message from family or friends, whatever, overnight. Before I even do any of that, it's get your mind, start that the trail. I think of a trail of dominoes, right? You got all these dominoes stacked up, two different paths, and the path I want to start the dominoes dropping on is the positivity path, the love path, the manifestational path, that high vibrational path. That's where I want to be. And so that's what I attempt to just knock that one over and keep that going all day long. And instead of going the other way. Yeah. Interesting visual, yeah?
You know, I've seen a lot of people posting, and actually my cousin did, that she starts her day off dancing, and how wonderful that movement is and how it really starts your day off and getting things in a positive direction. I thought, you know what? I think that's fantastic, because you're putting on some high vibrational music, you're dancing around. I mean, even if it's you're tangoing in your kitchen by yourself, you're moving and grooving through the universe, and you're setting your intention. And when we had Carol Collins on not that long ago, she spoke about putting together a happy book where you just, for the whole day, everything that makes you happy, just record it in there. And I know a few of our listeners have already started to incorporate that, though, so I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
It's just another idea. And last week, Michael and I delved into the topic of the unseen architect of your reality, and how our subconscious really does create our life, and how everything that we experience goes through those unconscious thoughts. The emotions, the beliefs are really the silent architects of our life, and they do create our reality. But Michael brought up a good point. We were speaking a little bit before the show, and he started talking about expectations. And then I, of course, had to challenge and say, well, what about the art of allowing? And what is really the dance between the two, the difference between expectations and the art of allowing? And so my mind, as it does always, it starts to wander, and I started thinking about the summertime. And Michael, I know you have an amazing convertible, and that when you have the top down, and you get in your car and it's a warm, sunny day, or for me, if I have the windows open and my hair is whipping around every which way and I'm just letting it go, that I am in that sort of space of allowing. And as the car speeds along and got this wind pockets that come through, you know, you in a convertible, you might get a couple of bugs. Or if I was in a convertible, my hair, I'd get out of there and it would just be a mess. Unless I had it in a ponytail. And I sort of thought about that as a good metaphor between expectations and the art of allowing, because when you're in that situation, it just feels awesome. You know, you've got the music on, you're going down the road, and you're just allowing everything to flow. But you don't really have any expectations. Wow, you know, you see a sign, oh, there's a speed bump. Boom, you know, slow down, or there's a traffic jam. You're getting in your car with the intention of just enjoying the day and enjoying the sunshine and just allowing wherever that drive is going to take you. So I thought that might be a fun way to kick it off, because you as a convertible owner can share more insights than I can just driving with my windows down. But it always feels good as the days start to get more sunny and warm.
Well, yeah, as they start to get up. I think it was about 72 or 3 today, something like that, but it was sunny, a little cooler than yesterday from a humidity perspective. But these are the kind of days, if I had gotten out of the house today, I would have taken the top down and taken a drive. And sometimes I just want to, just drive wherever it is that I intuit going to. I may have initially someplace that I'm going to do something, and then I'll turn around and let's just drive. Let's just drive. Maybe I'll take the beach road, or maybe I'll look at houses and trees and people walking and running in the park, that kind of thing. Sometimes you just want to drive and not have a destination. Just drive. So much fun because I consider that the convertible allows my non-physical beings to hang out with me, and maybe if I call upon my dad, he's hanging out in the seat next to me, or one of my best friends who's passed on, and I start thinking about things, the things that I'm grateful for, and things that putting myself in talking about the things I love and what I like about life right now that's happening to me, that sort of thing. And it's fun. It's just you just go wherever your mind takes you. You go there and just enjoy it. And then I love it.
It's so interesting, though, because if you think about the metaphor, Michael, you have a vehicle. You get into this vehicle, and it takes you places. And when we're a soul, we get into this vehicle called the body, and it takes us places. And I think that's what's so fun about this paradox that we're about to explore, between expectations. Is it manifestation, or are we limiting ourselves? And both you and I are a fan of Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks. And there was a wonderful quote that Abraham said. It said, when you expect something, it's on its way. When you believe something is on its way, it's on its way. But if you're noticing it's not here yet, then you're not expecting it, which I thought was fun. Because really,
so true.
Expectations, they are like an energetic blueprint. When we expect something, it tends to materialize. Like if I'm expecting you to meet me at a certain time, or I'm expecting you to start the show at a certain time, sometimes I'll text Michael and I say, I'm not quite ready yet. I had a couple of unexpected things. But expectations really, it's an interesting thing. They can become too rigid, that they prevent us from really seeing a better unfolding than what we could have imagined. But to have and to set that expectation sometimes is really important. As Abraham said, when you expect something, it's on its way. And I really like that.
Yeah, it's a term I use a lot, which is already so. It's done. Already so. It's already here. Already so. It's already happening. And that expectation is important because it keeps us focused on what we want, the desires we have for ourselves occurring right now, not at some future point. It's not a wanting thing, a hoping thing, a wishing thing, because those kinds of words generate energy that keeps you mired in where you are now and keeps those things out there where you today take actions based on lack. Those are actually, that's what those terms are, hope, wish, want. Those are terms that have you focused on lack, what you don't have and what you wish you did, right? Where we want to be talking about what we have and backing what we have with the feelings and the expectations, right? And the already so. It's here. It's already happening for me. It's not some hope, wish, want thing. It's happening for me right now. And then you're walking around in a state of heightened expectation, knowing that at any moment something amazing is going to happen for you. And that's when the universe gives you wonderful treasures, wonderful gifts. You get the miracles, you get the magic, you get the mojo, right? You get that, as I call it, magical juju working for you. Yeah, the magical juju mindset. That's where I like to be, where anything can happen. Anything and everything can happen. We limit ourselves. We constantly tell ourselves that happens to other people, not me. When that's not really the case. It'll happen for you. If you believe, it'll happen for you. It's like you said, belief is the silent architect of your life. You believe. When I believe, if I sit down on my drum set, I can believe I can do something. Well, 9 times out of 10, I can do it. It's really interesting because I'll tell you this quick story. When I was taking drum lessons back in 1967, and I was learning how to read jazz music. I was taking lessons from this guy, and he would say, okay, now go home and practice that. And I wouldn't practice it. I'd come back the next week.
At least you're honest.
And I would just do it. I did it as if I practiced it. I did it. When he says, "Oh yeah, that's really good. You've been practicing," and in my mind I'd be going, "I haven't even touched this thing. I haven't touched the drum pad. I haven't done anything, and I could do it." And you have to believe you can make things happen, and you can behave. You can make things happen for yourself. You can feel the way you want to feel, and things. You got to live in that magical world, and even regardless of what it is that you're experiencing in your present reality. We had this conversation before the show as well about how a lot of people. I have people here. They're mired in their own 3D world and the circumstances that they've created for themselves, and the consequences of the choices that they've made, and not thinking about. They're wishing, wanting, and hoping for things to change. That's what they're doing. Like, yeah, someday when things, I'll do that. Yeah, right, okay, great. And I tell them, why don't you talk in terms of it already happening for you, or already have happened? Why don't you talk about that? Why would you continue to use language that perpetuates what you actually do not want in your life, the circumstances that you don't want? And when you speak about your circumstances, whatever they may be, and what you're experiencing as if it's, as if something better is in the future somewhere at some point in time when something happens, when you win the lottery or whatever it is, you are actually keeping yourself where you are. You're telling the universe you want to continually manifest this reality that you have. That's where you are. That's what you're doing. Your belief system is of the fact that you see yourself there, and you don't really believe you're maybe worthy of something better, but getting something better. You have to start thinking you're already something better, right? That's what you have to do. And it's like somebody who's going to college. You have to start thinking as if you've already graduated from school. You're just going through the motions. You've already done it. You've already got your degree. You're learning this thing. You're going to these classes. You're going through the motions, but you're already graduated. And now you're thinking about what you want to do after graduation, even in your freshman year. It's putting yourself there already. It's already so. It's already done. And I love that. That we as human beings, I constantly say, your mind is the most powerful tool. It's actually, in terms of real estate, the 5 inches between your ears is the most valuable real estate you will ever own in any lifetime. That space is the most valuable. You're a trillionaire, gazillionaire in that space if you see yourself that way. You align your beliefs with that from that standpoint, and you have your expectations that are aligned with that as well.
Absolutely, and I think that we need to just clarify. There's a difference between an expectation and seeing it already done than having an expectation of another person and what you expect from them. And I think that that's an important discernment, because oftentimes we cling to expectations as a way to control our outcomes, and we believe that this person, we expect them to do this because that's the way that we would do it. But we can't force how reality conforms to what we want. But we have to sort of know, we have to have that discernment to be able to say, no, the only expectations I can control are the expectations I have of myself.
Exactly.
And what I want to happen in my world. And it's kind of, like if you think when you have expectations of somebody else, it's like trying to force a river to go uphill, go backwards the way it's supposed to. You have to sort of allow and surrender to the natural current. So when you have an interaction, when Michael and I begin the show, it's completely unscripted. We have no expectations about what is going to unfold. And we open a doorway and sort of he'll lead and then I follow and wherever we need to be, or vice versa. And I think it's a powerful discernment, because when we have expectations of others, it can create blind spots for us. So we only see what we believe we can see. But rather than open up the possibilities and allow that person to allow their world to flow however it is. Because I do think that it's important for us to clarify that, Michael.
Absolutely. In relationships, very much, thanks so much for bringing that up. I'm not talking about, and on the show as much as possible, I'll bring relationships up when it's appropriate. But this is all about us and us as individuals. And when unrealized expectations destroy relationships, expectations that we have for other people, we allow our expectations to control how we feel, what we think, and to control the perceptions we have of other people. And I know this from personal experience, so all I can say is that, we are, as much as we want to control another human being, it isn't possible. And we have to come to that reality, come to grips with that. It's an absolute universal fact. Everybody has their own thoughts, their own feelings, and their own actions, and we can only allow them to be who they are. Expecting them to be somebody different is a recipe for stress. It's a recipe for discord, quite frankly, within the context of a friendship or a romantic relationship or a family relationship, whatever it may be. There are literally millions of childhoods that were impacted in a negative way by parents who had expectations that were not aligned with the little soul they were raising and what they wanted to do or what they were being guided to do. And so I love letting expectations go when it comes to relationships. And when I find myself in that situation, because we're all human, and if I find myself in a situation where I would love for somebody to do something else, I'll give you an absolute example. My girlfriend just had a hip replacement about 7 weeks ago, and she just had her last therapy session today. And from now on, the rebuilding of her hip, body, that strength and all of that is up to her. And as much as I want to step in and make suggestions about how she can do that, it doesn't really matter. If I start putting expectations on her to actually get better or start running or whatever it is that I think that she should be doing in order to get stronger and get back to 100%, it's of no consequence. And I have just basically back off and let her take her own little path, whatever she's guided to do. And that's it. I do what I do, she does what she does, and we come together, we talk about it, but we don't put any pressure on ourselves or any expectations to be of something other than what we're thinking or who we are at that moment. The joy for her is in the creating her own expectations and creating her own path. That's the joy for her, and that's what we have to do with our significant other or our friends, our family. Just wish them well, be grateful that they're in our lives, and understand that they what they're being guided to do is not something we will ever be able to understand, and it's for their own good. They're where they are. I
love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for a purpose.
Because you're allowing them to set their own milestones and set their own expectations of what they want to achieve, and it's fabulous, Michael, because it really does illustrate that allowing is not as passive as we think it is. It's an active state of trust, and so you're trusting that she knows her body and knows how she's feeling, and she can set those milestones, and you don't have to, you let her do that. That's not your job. And I think that says the same thing, that when we set an intention, we and you have that expectation, that's where allowing comes in. Because then we say to the universe, okay, universe, bring me this or something better. And then it's the universe's job to deliver it in unexpected and even better ways than we can even imagine. So it's kind of like you step into the unknown. It's the art of the stepping into the unknown. Trust the unseen forces and know that they're working in our favor. There's so much that we don't see that goes behind the scenes in so many different ways. And it's funny because I don't know what made me think about this this morning, but I was thinking about how other people perceive themselves and how people perceive themselves. Like I have a friend who's very worried about her wrinkles. I don't see them. I don't see them on her face. And I keep telling her that. And she said, but I see them. I have a magnifying mirror. I said, stop looking in the magnifying mirror.
Yeah.
Stop looking at
it. Start creating.
And she's like, oh, but it's, nothing I'm doing is working. And then I thought to myself, well, how could I get, and I started thinking about how these unseen things, right? Because I had one day that I was going out and I spilled something on my pants, and of course they were white pants. But I didn't really have time to change because I had to get to this meeting and I knew how much time. So I did the best I could, and I was so self-conscious about these stains on my pants. And at one point in the meeting, I apologized for my pants. I said, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't have time to change my pants.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
Everybody said, I don't even see that. I don't see it. It's not, I didn't even notice it. And so it's interesting because it becomes sort of this field of invisibility, right? We're so hyper aware of things. And I think Bashar always would say, beliefs act as a template on which reality molds itself. So she's expecting to see wrinkles in the mirror.
Yeah.
Mirror that
firmly
blows
believes she's got
out.
wrinkles.
And I expected people to see those spots on my pants.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Nobody even noticed it.
Yeah.
Nobody even noticed it. And I think that when we're locked into those expectations, sometimes we miss the extraordinary opportunity that it just allows those other possibilities that maybe people won't notice, and maybe your wrinkles are going away. I just had to smile at that. So
it's interesting how we can convince ourselves of things, and that to other people are of no consequence. It is quite interesting. And again, we are what we focus on, right? We are what we focus on. And when I had spilled 3 drips of coffee on my pants yesterday, actually. Well, yeah, actually. We took a little Cobalt out to. Actually, it was Sunday. I apologize. We took a little Cobalt out to a little Welsh Corgi out to lunch with us, and because we like to do that, so he can get sort of the lay of the land and understand how to behave in public and socialize things. And so on the way home, we were on our way to the car, and Sandy was going, wow, the coffee smells good, doesn't it? Wouldn't you love a cappuccino or something? And I said, yeah, it'd be awesome. And we turned the corner from where we'd eaten, and the guy who runs the coffee shop, who makes the coffee, had walked by, and he goes, hey, how are you? And I go, hey, we're fantastic. How was your day today? We're just headed your way. And he says, oh. And I said, oh, wait a minute, you're closed already. He says, well, yeah, but hey, let me make you a cup of coffee. I said, no. You don't need to do that. No, you don't do that. He says, no, let me go. Because come on back. I'll make you both a cappuccino. And I said, oh my gosh, okay, great, fine. We're walking that way because our car is that way. And so he makes us a couple of great cups of coffee, and then he says, I had already put $20 on the counter, and he said before he even saw it there, he had said, oh, this is on me, because I'm sure his register was closed out. But I put the $20 on the counter, and he says, oh, I see that. And I said, it's for you. And he says, no, come on, you want some change? I said, no. I said, it's for you. It's for you. You did a wonderful thing for us here. You don't have to come back. And, I didn't want to put you out or anything. He says, well, gosh, thank you so much. And I said, fantastic. I walked out. The coffee was amazing. Took the little boy, put him in the car, and we drove back. But on the way back, I had a couple of drips of coffee on my pants. So I was concerned about because we had one more stop to make in a grocery store and some other places. I'm going to walk around with these 3 drips on my pants. Right, light tan pants, and I got coffee stains on them, and it was just like you're thinking that it's a big deal, but it really isn't a big deal, because the moment you apologize, people look at you and they go, "What are you talking about?" And it dawns you. It's that moment that it dawns on you that people are not judging you. They're not paying attention to you. They're in their own little world, and then you say hello to them, and then they come out of their own little world. They're not looking at you going, oh, look at that person. Oh, look at that person. Look at that person. Their hair looks like it just got out of bed. Look at that person over there. They're wearing an outfit that looks a little strange. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's turning around and judging you. They're in their own world, and they're not noticing those little things that you and we might notice and we might think are important. But in the grand scheme of things, they're not. So I just relaxed. I said, okay, forget it.
Right.
I'm not going to worry about this.
Yeah,
I get home.
It's funny because my friend is a beautiful girl, and that's the only way I see her. I just see her that way, and every time that I see her, I expect that she's going to be well put together. I said, my next life, I'll be that. And it's just
interesting, isn't it?
So fascinating. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The idea, the whole, you got to ask yourself, well, so where does this come from, right? I just sit around and think about this sort of thing every once in a while. And it's when I come across somebody who has practically a complex about how they look, right? Makeup has to be perfect, the eyelashes have to be perfect, the hair has to be perfect. They've gone out and they've gotten collagen injections in their lips, and they've got Botox because they, feel they have micro wrinkles on their forehead. And, it's basically, it's a world out there that is driven by people leading you to believe that you lack something. I mean, I've said this before, that all advertising is based on lack. All advertising is based on what you want. It's the way they sell to you is based on how they connect with you in a way that they can convey what it is you want to avoid. People respond more to what they want to avoid than anything else. It's the way they get people to move off the dime and to buy things. And so in our world, the shame is that we're all souls, and this is the way I look at it, we're all balls of light in costumes in this life, and we come in all different kinds of shapes and colors and sizes. And that is not the person. That is simply the costume that they're wearing. And that's the way I see people, is I look past all of that. And although the massive media may convince you that you need to be something other than you are, that you lack perfection, and that they're going to tell you what perfection is, right? Their idea of perfection. And you go, oh, wait a minute, that's their idea of perfection, and now I need to be like that. Well, no, you don't. You just have to see yourself as a loving soul and respect yourself, pay attention, claim your own sovereignty, decide what goes into your head, in and out of your body, and the connection you have with something greater than yourself. You can do that. All the rest of that, the jig is up. You understand how things work, and you don't have to fall for that banana in the tailpipe. And I've been waiting for a way to get that one in.
I love that. I know that's one of my favorite
lines. Don't have to fall for it.
All-time favorite.
We do. I've got a friend who's who talks about micro-wrinkles all the time.
No, I was going to say, I apologize for interrupting you, but I just am laughing because if you think about and that's a perfect metaphor. That scene is a perfect metaphor, the difference between allowing an expectation. Because, Axl Rose puts this, for anybody who's not seen Beverly Hills Cop, Axl Rose is played by Eddie Murphy, and he puts a banana in the tailpipe of these two detective cars that were tailing him. And so the next time they go out to tail him, that's the classic line, I'm not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe again. But you think about that, Eddie Murphy was the perfect, he was the expectation. He put that banana and he knew they were going to be able to go anywhere. And these two detectives who were just chill, all of a sudden they've got this tension and frustration because guess what? The guy they were supposed to be tailing is gone. And, a lot of times that's where we are. Can you release this expectation or you can allow it to happen?
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yes, right.
And how Eddie Murphy pokes fun at them because he's like, I'm not going to fall for that banana in the tailpipe again, and I'm not doing maybe you can do a better impression of it.
It's a great, it's a great
comical
scene. It's a great line, and, The issue is that a lot of people fall for something that they shouldn't be falling for. I mean, awareness can take you places. Let's just put it that way. When you understand who you are and you have a level of self-confidence in what you do and what your talents, gifts, and skills are. And I tell everybody out there, if you're a little lost right now, or at any given time, all you have to do is step back into your talents, your skills, your gifts, whatever they may be. If you're a world-class knitter, then that is your rock. That is something you do, and you do better than most people, or perhaps anybody else in the world. That is a gift for you, and you have to embrace your gifts and your talents and your skills. And when you do that, that's what makes you unique. It's not how you look. It's the talents and gifts that you bring to the world. That makes you unique. And nobody can take those away from you. Nobody can take your talents and gifts and skills away from you. No one. And you can keep discovering them as you move through life. I think you asked me, I don't know, a couple of years ago, what I like to, if I could do anything other than what I'm doing. And we always have to be asking ourselves that question, in my view, to keep our minds open and keep us honest. Because I know I've been very good with my hands, and I could have been a hairdresser. I could have been a stylist. I could have been a sculptor. And when I use my hands, I have great hand dexterity, which is probably why I'm a drummer. However, I love doing things that involve my hands, either fashioning something or fixing something. I'm very dexterous, right? And I love it when I have the opportunity to use my dexterity to actually overcome an issue, right? To move forward, to overcome a challenge, to move through a challenge. I just absolutely love it. And everybody's got a gift. I mean, heck, man, we used to focus on, the school systems used to focus on helping us discover what those gifts were. Yeah, because they're innate to who we are. And when we connect with our gifts, our skills, and our talents, whatever they may be, it could be you're great playing marbles, and that's your rock, that's your foundation. You can always go back to that. When you drift, I call it drifting, drift into the issues of the 3D world, the challenges that you come across, and you become mired in them, and your feelings degrade to lower vibrational frequencies, worry and frustration and all that. You can always move past that, beyond that, and elevate your vibrations by going back to your talents and gifts. Take out the marbles, put them on the floor, bing, bang, bong. Hey, this is great. This feels good. I love this. This is fun, right? You go do what's fun. It's fun engaging in your talents and gifts and skills. Absolute fun. Whether anybody else does it with you or whether it requires anybody else. That's how I treat the drums. That's how I treat golf. That's how I treat wine tasting or discovering something new. Travel, same thing. Going to museums. I could be mired in those things forever, just looking at and admiring something that has a history associated with it. And it's just, we figure out what it is, connect with it, your talents, your gifts, your skills, and you will never go wanting for positive feelings, for fun, for happiness, for joy, for excitement, for passion. It's all there. It's all there, and it's within you. It doesn't involve anybody else. It involves no one else. You know.
Exactly.
That's the place to go. Go back to basics.
And Bashar, we go back to what he channeled about following your passion. He always said, speak, align with your highest excitement, whatever that is. And, so when you follow your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome, that's really what allowing is all about. And when you were speaking, Michael, and I thought, what are some of my gifts? And I love color, and I'm looking around right now. I'm actually in one of my properties, and I can go somewhere, and I love thrifting. I love finding things, treasure hunting, and I can pick out. I can see a color in something, and I'll match it to a color in a curtain, or I'll see a painting, and I mix things together. I kind of say that I have a maverick bohemian style. Like things that you never would think that would match. But I can see it, and I can see it visually in the room and where it needs to go, and it all somehow kind of works out. And I think that's the way that my life is a metaphor for my life, because I love the vibrancy of color. Ironically, I have very few white walls in any of any rooms of my house. They're all different vibrant colors. And one, I had a painting that I loved, and it's of a Native American woman, and she's got by Oz Frank, and it has this coral scarf, just this little touch of coral. And I was like, that's the color I want for my walls. And I went to somebody, and I had them match that color and blend it, and I did a color wash. So I have this gorgeous coral color on my bedroom walls with a very light pink. And then I find crazy comforters and all kinds of different things, but it all kind of works out. One of the paintings that brought me highest joy, I love art. I love paintings. How much art can you have? I don't know. I don't never seem to have enough, because I love the energy that people put into art. I love it. You see things, there's a beautiful we have so many artists that follow us on our Instagram page, and they're just so inspiring. I look at the things that they create, and it just makes my heart sing. It really truly makes my heart sing, and that is following my highest excitement. I don't have any expectations about whatever it is. I just allow myself to be immersed in the joy that their art brings me.
Yeah,
and it can be that simple.
So yeah, it's a passion to discover other people's passion, and you can feel the energy and the joy and the excitement that they have, and the love they have that they're infusing into what they're doing. And I enjoy discovering people. That's why I like going to crafts fairs and other places that where people get to display their art, and you get to see everyday people doing really, really, really cool stuff that makes them feel joy, makes them feel love, and brings them confidence, and gives them a sense of satisfaction. So important to every day engage in things that give you a sense of satisfaction, of just self-love. And I look at my orchids around here, and I get them to blossom. That's a passion of mine as well. And other people say, how do you do that? How do you make those orchids last for 4 months? And I say, well, positioning, and I don't overwater them, and I think there's a lot of love in the house.
I was going to say, but there's a lot of love that you put into those plants, Michael. Those plants are responding to that vibration that you are putting out, and it's just true. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. I love orchids. I love looking at them. I love walking through it. I wish I lived in a place, in the tropics where I could actually grow some orchids outside, some cattleyas and some other types of very exotic orchids that, where there was no frost and there was enough humidity, where they could grow on trees and branches and things of that nature. But, it's just, again, that's just another passion I've discovered that I enjoy. And you talk about art on the walls. I don't think I have very little space in my office for anything. And I've got some things I still need to hang. So, I look at these. Walk into. You walk. There was an artist in Hawaii, a lady who does this amazing art called Peggy Hopper. Peggy Hopper would draw big Hawaiian women, beautiful, loving faces, and soft and beautiful, and the colors were just, I was in love with the colors. I am in love with the colors, and I've got a couple of framed pieces here on the wall that I really, really enjoy. One is called Ho'oleva, which is the Hawaiian word for ascension, and I look at it every single day in my office, and it reminds me of the legacy of every day. That pretty much is what it reminds me. Am I engaging in what? Am I paying attention to my heart? Am I paying attention to what excites me, what I'm passionate about? Because when I'm gone, that's my legacy is those feelings, giving those feelings, giving that passion, that excitement to myself. That's what it is. You can't take anything else with you, but the love that I put out enough love today, the people that I met, that I love myself enough today, that I put enough love into what it is that I'm doing. I focus on that, because there's a lot of other garbage you can be focused on that could make you feel bad. I have the joy of living in a home that I work in, and I have a workspace that I haven't used for 3 months, almost 4, because we have a new puppy. However, I can manifest that joy and love and passion, and it's caused me to shift a little bit to creating it in other ways. And I'll get back up here again. The next year, I'll get back up here into my office more full-time again. However, I'm loving, since the rest of the house was curated in a way that also makes me feel awesome, it's not such a big stretch. We have our spaces, right, with our own energy, our vibrations, and that we create within them, and we can curate that. And when we're with other people, we curate together. And you have your own space, you have a together space. I feel comfortable in any inch of this house, and that's the way we want it.
Right.
We want to feel comfortable, right? That's what we want in our lives.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, Michael, you brought up a good point, because you're always in the present moment. If you're with your orchids, you're with your orchids. And even though, and this is another good insight, I think, with expectations, when you say you see it already done, you let that go. So you practice being in the present moment and trust that the universe is unfolding perfectly. You see it done, and then you let go, and then you come back and you put the joy and the love into the things that are so most important, and that being the people and the quality of your day, and the fact, and it's not that, I'm sure you experienced a little bit of frustration when you saw those little spots of coffee on your beautiful tan cake. But
that and other things, yeah.
Yeah, but, it was there. You didn't let it affect the rest of your day. And I think that's part of what each one of us, can you release it? Can you allow that frustration to just dissipate? And that's how we open ourselves up to more joy and peace and abundance. And we release that from our beingness, the release the expectation of always having to be perfect. There's nothing that's perfect. I always used to think that if I took a jar of marbles and I threw it up, and they would scatter all over the floor, they would roll where they were ever going to roll. They would never land in a straight line. They just won't. They will not. It's just the nature of the universe. Chaos is the nature of the universe. And so you kind of look at that and you think, okay, well, maybe it wasn't exactly what I thought would happen, and I'm not really pleased with the way it's happened, but perhaps it saved me from doing something else, or it opened a new doorway that I never thought or would even know that existed. And so many times that has happened in my life, that there are really unexpected blessings in every challenge, no matter what it is. Even though I had said, okay, I want this done by a certain date, especially in construction. You just have to be flexible. You have to allow things. And even though there were situations that were uncomfortable for me. It helped me grow. It made me a little bit more resilient, I think, to kind of like, okay, whatever. I just let things go. I don't control anything. I just let it go, however it's meant to be, and just keep moving on. And sometimes people will say, I don't understand. You seem so calm. I'm like, well, there's no sense being any other way. That doesn't serve me.
I think it's important. It's important. What comes to mind when you're saying this is that I don't want our listeners here on PRN FM or in our podcast to think that you and I lead this absolutely perfectly structured life with, literally we got to where we are today because we had experiences and we dealt with those experiences initially maybe not so good. However, we were able to be aware enough as to how differently we could be. I mean, it's taken me 40 years to get here. Let's just face it. And do I experience some frustration or some anger or discomfort or whatever today? Yeah. Any day that can happen. However, because we're human, right? It's not a matter of whether you of stopping yourself from feeling a way. It's a matter of how quickly you can transmute that, how quickly you can learn from that feeling. You can become aware of it and then transform it, pivot from it. Remember that, be mindful of the things that we're talking about here on the show, that we create our reality, we create our experiences, and that when we're mad at somebody because they did something to us, that we've got to take a step back and say, okay, how did I manifest this in my life? How did I create this reality for myself? If I'm upset, if I'm angry, it's because I'm perceiving the situation in a way that isn't congruent with or aligned with what with love and with happiness and with joy and passion and excitement. So I'm going to take a step back from this. I'm going to let my feelings dissolve, and then I'm going to come into it in a different mindset without the expectations or the perceptions that this person or that thing is bad, right? We're going to just come into it. And that, my friends, is how I know I do it. I'm not going to speak for you, Lisa, but that is how I do it. I attempt to recognize as quickly as possible when I'm feeling off, and I right the ship, so to speak, and I attempt to do it as quickly as possible. Let's not carry it with us. Let's not tell 1 million people on social media and everybody we encounter for the next 24 hours and the next day. Let's not do that. That's literally contaminating somebody else's well, and that's not why I'm here. I don't want to ruin somebody else's party. Throw water on their fire of passion and excitement about what they're doing with something that was, in the grand scheme of things, insignificant, and I made it bigger than it was. And that's what we have a tendency to do, is to wallow in our own frustrations and worries and anger and experiences that don't quite, match what we really want in our lives. We have control over all that, right? It's like we're humans, so every day, Lisa and I'm sure we experience things. We're thrown a curveball, right?
Sure.
And we have to, because we are alert and aware enough, we may not initially handle that exactly the right way. However, we quickly right that ship. We quickly turn around and pivot to what we know is our own sovereignty. We don't fall for, again, the banana in the tailpipe of allowing somebody else to dictate how we feel, or some situation or event to dictate how we feel about ourselves and our lives and the day itself and everything else, right?
Yeah,
or the year.
For sure.
So I just wanted to say that because we sometimes, I'm sure it can seem like, oh, your lives are so perfect. How can I be like that? Well,
it is perfect, though. I
Absolutely
mean,
not.
It's perfect for us, even though there's like little speed bumps and challenges. And I actually laugh. I mean, I live in a city where it seems like there's construction everywhere you go, and my city is not built on a grid. It's built on a triangle, and so it's not always easy. Streets will just end, and there'll be no rhyme or reason. And I joke all the time, you can't get there from here. And I'll be driving, and they'll they'll have a road closed, and there won't even be a sign. It'll just be closed. No reason. It'll just be closed. And then you go, okay, and you have that, I'm trying to get somewhere. And then, I laugh, and then I'll, whatever. I'm like, whatever, I have to turn around. And like when you were saying, like righting the ship, I mean, you just have to turn. If I really want to get where I'm going, it's not going to serve me to stand in front of that barricade and get out and like throw a temper tantrum. I got to turn my car around, turn the car around and just go a different direction. And sometimes, that gift in that direction, who knows, maybe there was a sinkhole, and I was the lucky one who didn't, fall into the big, huge pothole. Whatever it was, I mean, it has happened where there have been water main breaks, and then just part of the road will just, open up. And and so you have to be grateful for whatever those are. You have to understand maybe there's something better. There is a better outcome, and that's why when you have an expectation and then you say to the universe, bring me this or something better. I'm seeing it done, but, maybe there's something even far more fantastic that could unfold for you by letting go of that and allowing. And I think that's really, and I'm so glad, Michael, that you wanted to explore this today, because it is a paradox. And I've heard even Abraham talk about how is it that, do you want me to expect things or do you want me to allow? There's a difference, and there is a discernment.
Yeah, allow stuff to unfold. Allow things to happen for yourself. And it's more about, if I could take a step backwards here for a second, it's about shifting your energy as quickly as possible. That's really what it boils down to.
Exactly.
We're shifting our energy. We might step into negative energy for a little bit. Recognizing it and shifting it as quickly as possible is the way to go. And it keeps you happier. It keeps you more loving. It keeps you more confident. And it helps you understand that you have value, and you're moving in a way that you're shifting your energy, and that energy is something everybody else can feel. Everybody else can feel that energy. We have an energy field that reaches out from us, and what we want to make sure of is that energy field is clean, that it's resonating positive energy, whatever that is for you that day. And understand that the way you see things is going to dictate mainly how you approach them and how you feel about them. And you can change the way you see things and change the way you feel instantaneously. It's possible.
Yeah.
As for triangles and running into that is interesting. I'm at some point I'm going to have to get up there and see that.
Yeah. Please do.
I mean, you live on a beach with three bridges, right?
Vales and it's there's multiple bridges, but that's the nice thing is there's so many different ways that you can get somewhere, and it's just a matter of finding. And I've gotten lost pretty much everywhere, so I'm like, that's where that road goes, and you discover new things.
It is wonderful.
It is. It's absolutely
wonderful.
It is. And Michael, it's funny because something you said in your languaging made me think of a symphony. For whatever reason, I thought, here we have this universe, and it's a symphony of possibilities. But imagine going to the symphony, and instead of playing Beethoven's Fifth, which has lots of ups and downs and excitement all the way through the musical piece, that there was just one instrument that played, or maybe all the instruments, and they just played one note. One note. And through the whole long length. I mean, how it's the diversity. It's what makes our lives rich. It's what makes it interesting. And it is. It's like when you think of that, the universe is a symphony of possibilities. It's like, okay, we have these expectations. And even listening to if you listen to Beethoven's Fifth for the first time, it's like all of a sudden it'll go a certain direction, and then it'll calm, and then it'll go again. But by the time you're done, it's like this sense of exhilaration when the symphony's done playing that piece. And there's so many musical pieces like that, but there's just one off the top of my head.
I agree. I totally agree. It's always nice to have this kind of conversation because, I benefit as much as our listeners from these conversations. There are a lot of reminders in what you mention and what I mention. I get to remember something that I had perhaps forgotten temporarily. Chaos is the name of the game. However, I consider it good chaos. My perception is always that it's good chaos. It's not disruptive chaos. And that's really the difference, because I'm going to approach disruptive or chaos or good chaos in two different ways. I want to be the productive chaos. I want the chaos that helps me find my way through different things, that makes me uncomfortable, that represents the unknown and allows me to navigate it in a positive way. I've always said that it doesn't matter what happens, you have the choice as to how you see it, how you interpret it for you. And I choose positivity. And which leads to outcomes that are vastly different than somebody who always sees things from the negative side. Who sees like chaos, negativity. I've just trained myself, and it's training. I have trained myself to see things differently, to always look for to know that the needle in the haystack can be found, to expect to find it. And when you kind of think that way, the hay kind of parts itself, and the needle is right there. Right there. And it can happen. It can happen. I see people all the time beating themselves up about, in advance, the pre-thought is always is negative, and it sets the stage for negative chaos and disruption and discord. And I tell people I play golf with all the time. And by the way, I had two different people who have played with for the first time tell me they were nervous. I was nervous the first 4 or 5 holes playing with you. And I'm going like, why? My game isn't your game. I'm playing my game. But this is what people do. They see other people, and and I'm like, why are you doing that? It's your game. It's like it's your life. I'm not here to. If I'm disrupting your game, you're allowing that to happen, because your perception of me is driving how you feel, and then the outcomes that are derived from that thinking. And once I discover that that's the case, which is usually 4 or 5 holes in, or a third of the round in, I simply tell them, relax, don't worry about me. It's not my game you're playing. I'm playing my own, right? It's your game you're playing. And then they start to relax, and then they play better, because they don't have all that baggage, right? They don't have that baggage they're carrying. And so I don't get that way when I play with people that are better than me. I rise to the occasion. I elevate. I actually play better because I'm playing with somebody who's better than me. And I don't enter the exercise with all the negative baggage and expectations and things of that nature, and perceptions that would disrupt the flow of the energy I'm putting out, the good vibration I'm putting out. It's all the setup is vastly important, which is why last week in the beginning of this one we talked about in the morning. It's the setup is important. What you do in the morning is important. But thank you so much. I run a little over here. We're about an hour. 30 seconds. We're getting close. I think we have one more minute. But Michael, I'm so grateful, that you make the time and that our audience make the time. And we do. If you find something of value, we would ask that you think somebody else could utilize the information or the insights, please do share it, this podcast and the show with other people, because I truly believe that the universe is always conspiring in our favor, and oftentimes it's just allowing others to be able to recognize it for themselves. And as you said, Michael, even when you're out on the golf course, allow that person to perceive and to be the best that they can be, and it's all about them and not about anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's always such a delight.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Appreciate being here, always, and I appreciate you.
And likewise. Likewise, and until next time, enjoy a beautiful day filled with great joy, peace, and abundance. And, of course, love always.
Yes. Bye-bye.